In the heart of a neon-lit metropolis, where hover cars zipped through the sky like caffeinated bees, Max Thompson had found his niche. A journalist by trade, he'd traded the stuffy office for a makeshift studio that resembled a tech-savvy attic. Posters of past election fiascos adorned the walls, and a clutter of gadgets lay strewn across his desk. His online news channel, The Daily Sarcasm, was a hit, and not because he reported the news accurately. He did that only when it suited his snarky sense of humor. It was a sunny afternoon, and the air was thick with excitement as citizens buzzed around, brandishing signs for the latest political darling, Evelyn Hart, a fresh face promising a global reset that would usher in a new era of peace, prosperity, and probably free Wi-Fi. Max had decided to cover her rally, more for the comedic material than any real interest in politics. He arrived at the rally just as a wave of ecstatic supporters surged forward, chanting Evelyn's name like a cult in a musical. Evelyn. 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 It sounded like a bizarre chant for a new religion, one where the deity was a woman in a tailored suit, promising to save the world. Max rolled his eyes but couldn't resist the irony of the situation. As he set up his camera, he glanced around. There was an oversized banner with "Reset the World" plastered across it, adorned with cartoonish graphics of a globe being rebooted like an old computer. If only life were that simple, he muttered to himself, adjusting his glasses and flicking on the camera. Max's commentary was quick, witty, and slightly derisive. Here we are at the rally for Evelyn Hart, who, if elected, will apparently install the world's largest Ctrl+Alt+Delete button. Let's see if we can find out what that really means. He wandered through the crowd, microphone in hand, interviewing the most enthusiastic supporters. An elderly woman in a sequined hat declared, "Evelyn is the answer to all our problems. She even promises to reduce traffic jams." Max smirked, imagining a future where cars floated in the air, jamming together like sardines in a tin can. Just then, as he panned the camera across the crowd, he noticed a group of individuals lurking near the back. They wore dark sunglasses and had the kind of serious expressions that suggested they were either plotting something nefarious or attending a very boring book club. Intrigued, Max decided to investigate. "Excuse me, what's your deal?" he asked, approaching them. One of the figures, a tall man with a baseball cap pulled low, shot him a look that could curdle milk. "We're just observing." "Observing? Like in a science experiment?" Max quipped. "Should I be worried? Are you planning to dissect the candidates?" The man's glare intensified. "More like preparing to intervene if things go south." Max raised an eyebrow. "So, what's the scoop? Is Evelyn secretly a robot? Or perhaps a puppet for a shadowy organization? Are we talking lizard people here?" The man didn't laugh. "You're not far off, journalist. The global reset isn't what it seems. There's a dark agenda lurking beneath." Max's interest was piqued, and he decided to dig deeper. "Dark agenda? Now you've got my attention. Tell me more." But before he could get any real answers, the rally took a chaotic turn. Evelyn herself appeared on stage, and the crowd erupted into cheers. She was a vision, charismatic, confident, and seemingly oblivious to the brewing storm. Max's instincts kicked in. He returned to his camera, ready to capture her grand entrance. "Here we go, folks. The moment of truth. Will she save us or sell us out?" As Evelyn spoke, her words dripped with promises of utopia. But amidst her passionate rhetoric, Max caught glimpses of the shadowy figures again, whispering urgently among themselves. The irony of the situation hit him hard. Here was a woman promising to reboot the world, while behind her, the very fate of humanity was at stake. Later that night, as Max sat in his cramped studio, he replayed the footage. The rally had been a circus, but it was the dark figures that intrigued him. With a chuckle, he thought, what a plot twist. The people shouting for change might be puppets after all. But as the laughter faded, a gnawing worry took its place. Was Evelyn truly a savior, or was she leading them into a trap? The next day, he decided to pursue the story further. Armed with his laptop and a bag of questionable snacks, he headed out to track down the mysterious group from the rally. The sun shone bright, and Max felt the thrill of the chase. After some not-so-serious sleuthing, which involved a detour for coffee and an awkward chat with a local barista who thought he was an undercover cop, he finally found them in a dimly lit cafe tucked away in an alley. He approached their table, his heart racing with equal parts fear and excitement. "Mind if I join you, shadowy figures?" The tall man with the cap looked up, a mix of surprise and irritation on his face. "You again? What do you want?" "I want to know what you're hiding," Max said, leaning forward. "And maybe grab a scone while we're at it." With a reluctant sigh, they allowed him to sit. The group was an eclectic mix: Ravi, a tech-savvy hacker who had once been a top coder for a corporation until he saw the light; Jasmine, an activist with a fierce spirit; and Old Man Jerry, a conspiracy theorist who had somehow made it into their ranks, adding a touch of eccentricity. "What's the deal with Evelyn?" Max asked, eager to get to the heart of the matter. "She's a front for a powerful conglomerate," Ravi explained, pulling up a series of documents on his tablet. "The Global Reset is a cover for mass surveillance. They're using people's hopes against them." Max couldn't help but chuckle. "So, she's not just a politician, she's a tech overlord in a designer suit. This is turning into a real-life sci-fi movie." "We're not kidding," Jasmine interjected, her eyes serious. "If she gets elected, it'll change everything. We're trying to stop it." Max leaned back, considering the implications. "So, what's the plan? Just shout 'stop' at her until she listens?" "It's more complex than that," Ravi said, shaking his head. "We need to gather evidence, expose her plans before the election." "But it's dangerous." Old Man Jerry chimed in, "I've been telling people this for years. The lizard people are real, and they're coming for our freedoms." Max couldn't help but burst out laughing. "Okay, let's take it one step at a time. No lizard people until we can confirm that they're behind the whole thing." As they formulated a plan, Max's mind raced. This was the story of a lifetime, but it was also about saving the future. The irony was not lost on him. He had started this journey seeking a laugh, but now it had taken a serious turn. And so began their series of misadventures, sneaking into tech conventions, following leads that led to dead ends, and getting caught in embarrassing situations, all the while trying to stay one step ahead of Evelyn's campaign. One day, they decided to infiltrate a tech expo where Evelyn was speaking. Disguised as staff, they found themselves in a chaotic mix of drones, gadgets, and overly enthusiastic tech enthusiasts. Max had to hold back laughter as Old Man Jerry tried to explain blockchain to a confused intern, but the fun quickly escalated into a slapstick chase when they accidentally set off a security alarm, sending them running through the exhibition hall, dodging drones that were now on high alert. Who knew espionage could be this ridiculous? Max shouted, nearly tripping over a pile of promotional swag. After a series of wild antics, they managed to escape with a flash drive containing critical information. It was exhilarating and absurd, and as they gathered in their secret meeting place that night, Max felt a camaraderie he hadn't expected. "All right, we have our evidence," Ravi said, his face illuminated by the glow of the laptop screen. "But we need a plan to get it out there before the debate." Max nodded, the stakes rising higher than ever. "This is it, then. Time to take the fight to Evelyn." The following days were a whirlwind of preparation. They crafted a strategy to expose Evelyn during the live debate, gathering all their evidence and even scripting out some lines for Max to deliver. He was both nervous and excited, a blend of emotions that felt like riding a roller coaster without a seatbelt. As the debate night approached, tensions ran high. They gathered around a small television, the atmosphere electric with anticipation. Evelyn stood on stage, poised and confident, while Max felt the weight of the world pressing on his shoulders. As the debate night approached, tensions ran high. They gathered around a small television, the atmosphere electric with anticipation. Evelyn stood on stage, poised and confident, while Max felt the weight of the world pressing on his shoulders. "All right, remember the plan," Ravi whispered, tapping his fingers nervously on the table. "When the moment is right, you'll make your move." Max nodded, his heart racing. "Got it. Just like we practiced. Walk in, drop the bombshell, and walk out like a cool, collected hero." "Right," Jasmine said, smirking. "Just try not to trip on the way up. That would ruin the dramatic effect." Old Man Jerry, perched on the edge of his seat, leaned in. "You know, I've got a theory about how to make sure they don't cut you off. If you mention the lizard people, they might just let you go. They can't risk the public thinking they're involved." Max raised an eyebrow. "Thanks for the advice, Jerry, but I think I'll stick to facts rather than conspiracies tonight." As the debate began, they watched Evelyn charm the audience with her eloquence. She spoke passionately about her vision, her voice ringing out over the crowd's applause. It was captivating, even to Max, who had been skeptical from the start. Yet behind the charisma lay a layer of manipulation that he was determined to expose. "Now, let's bring out our final candidate for a question," the moderator announced, prompting a wave of cheers. Evelyn Hart. With each response, Evelyn sidestepped critical issues, twisting words, and making promises that glittered but lacked substance. Max clenched his fists, knowing he'd soon have to interject. Finally, the moment came. The moderator turned to the camera. "And now, for our final segment, we welcome Max Thompson from the Daily Sarcasm." The crowd erupted in applause, but Max felt a rush of adrenaline. As he walked to the podium, he flashed a quick grin at the camera, trying to mask the fluttering in his stomach. "Thank you for having me," he said, his voice steady despite his nerves. "Evelyn, you've painted a lovely picture of a brighter future. But I have some questions about the fine print, specifically about the global reset and what that really entails for the citizens of this country." Evelyn smiled, her confidence unwavering. "Our reset is a chance for humanity to start fresh. A world where everyone has equal access to technology and resources." "Equal access?" Max raised an eyebrow. "Is that what you call it? Because we've seen the documents that suggest this reset actually means mass surveillance and control over our lives." A murmur rippled through the audience. Evelyn's expression shifted slightly, the confidence cracking for just a moment. "What documents are you referring to?" she asked, her tone shifting from charm to defensive. Max didn't hesitate. "The documents that outline a system designed to track and monitor every move we make, all under the guise of protection." If you're so committed to transparency, why not share that with the people? He motioned to Ravi, who was ready with the flash drive, waiting for the signal. Evelyn's eyes narrowed. Those are conspiracy theories, Mech's fear-mongering designed to sow distrust in our leadership. Conspiracy theories? Mechs chuckled, shaking his head. What's more conspiratorial than hiding the truth behind a polished campaign? You can't dismiss facts just because they're inconvenient. He glanced at Ravi, who gave him the nod. In one swift motion, Mechs plugged the flash drive into the debate setup, pulling up the incriminating documents on the big screen. The audience gasped as words like mass surveillance and population control filled the screen. The camera panned to Evelyn, who looked momentarily stunned. This is unacceptable. You can't just, why not? Mechs shot back, his voice rising above the audience's chatter. This is about our future. We deserve to know what's being done in our name. We deserve to ask the hard questions and get real answers. Suddenly, the moderators started to cut in, but Mechs continued, undeterred. What are you so afraid of, Evelyn? The truth? Or are you really just the face of a system that wants to control us all? In that moment, something shifted in the room. The crowd's murmurs turned to shouts of disbelief and anger, directed not at Mechs, but at Evelyn. This wasn't just a political debate anymore, it was a moment of reckoning. Mechs, this is going too far, the moderator urged, but Mechs waved him off, feeling the momentum shift in his favor. Evelyn's carefully constructed facade was crumbling, and for the first time, she seemed genuinely rattled. This is manipulation. You're twisting facts. Or maybe you're just not as in control as you thought, Mechs retorted, the thrill of the confrontation fueling his resolve. In the chaos, Ravi managed to hack into the feed, creating a separate broadcast that streamed their evidence directly to the public. We're live, he shouted, fingers flying across his keyboard. Mechs took a deep breath, glancing at his team. This was it, the culmination of their efforts, the moment they'd all risked everything for. As the live stream spread across social media, viewers reacted in real time. Comments poured in, with people sharing their shock and outrage. The narrative was shifting, and Evelyn knew it. You can't do this, she shouted, her voice rising as she desperately tried to regain control of the debate. Mechs leaned closer to the microphone, relishing the moment. But we can, Evelyn. The people are waking up. They deserve to know that their leader is not who she claims to be. With that, he stepped back, allowing the evidence to speak for itself. The crowd erupted into a frenzy of boos and shouts directed at Evelyn. The cameras captured every moment as she fumbled for words, trying to redirect the audience's anger. But it was too late. The truth had been revealed, and the audience was no longer willing to swallow her glossy promises. As the debate ended in chaos, Mechs felt an overwhelming wave of exhilaration. He had exposed the truth, and for the first time, he truly felt like a journalist, not just a comedian playing at the edges of seriousness. Backstage, Mechs and his team celebrated, the adrenaline coursing through their veins. We did it. We actually did it. Jasmine exclaimed, pulling Mechs into a bear hug. I can't believe it, Ravi said, grinning from ear to ear. We actually turned the tide. Old Man Jerry, surprisingly astute amid the excitement, added, and the lizard people still haven't shown up. This is a win in my book. As they reveled in their victory, Mechs's mind raced with the implications of what they'd done. They had ignited a spark, but the fight was far from over. Evelyn would undoubtedly retaliate, and they had to stay vigilant. The days that followed were a whirlwind of media attention. Max became a household name, the face of the resistance against Evelyn's campaign. But with fame came scrutiny, and he found himself under attack from those who still supported her. "You're a fraud," shouted one angry caller during a live interview, "you've ruined everything." Max took a deep breath, his humor serving as a shield. "Thank you for your feedback. I'll be sure to forward your concerns to my publicist right after I finish my espresso." But beneath the light-hearted banter, the pressure was mounting. As Evelyn's campaign spun into overdrive, she began to employ tactics that made Max's stomach turn. Misinformation campaigns, smear tactics, and even threats against those who dared to speak out. "Evelyn isn't just a politician, she's a machine," Ravi said one night as they gathered in their makeshift headquarters, reviewing the latest reports. "And she's not going down without a fight." Max felt a knot of worry tighten in his chest. "What's our next move? We can't just let her silence us." "We need to go bigger," Jasmine suggested. "We need to rally more people. We can't be just a voice in the crowd. We need to become a movement." Old Man Jerry nodded emphatically. "And we need to expose her connections. The more we dig, the more we find." With their resolve set, they launched a grassroots campaign. Max became the face of a new movement, leading rallies and organizing protests. Social media buzzed with hashtags like Expose Evelyn and Global Reset Revealed. But as they gained momentum, Evelyn's camp struck back harder. They leaked fake stories about Max, painted him as a reckless provocateur, and even tried to discredit his past work. Max took the hits, but each attack only fueled the fire. One night, as they prepared for a major rally, Max received a message that sent chills down his spine. It was a video, grainy but unmistakable, of Evelyn's team plotting against him, discussing ways to intimidate him into silence. "Okay, this is getting serious," he said, showing the video to the group. "We need to turn this around on her. This is evidence of her true character." Ravi nodded, his expression intense. "We need to get this out before the next debate. It'll show the public just how far she's willing to go to maintain control." The next day, they managed to secure a press conference. Max stood in front of the cameras, the weight of the moment pressing down on him. "I stand here today not just as a journalist, but as a citizen of this country. We deserve leaders who uphold our values, not those who resort to intimidation and deceit," he said, his voice steady. "I have evidence that reveals a conspiracy within Evelyn's campaign to silence dissent. Let's show the people the truth." With that, he played the video, watching as Evelyn's carefully curated image began to shatter before the public's eyes. The reaction was immediate, and the fallout was explosive. "Evelyn, how do you respond to these allegations?" a reporter shouted, pressing her for answers. She stammered, grasping for her composure. "This is a smear campaign." "Max is desperate." "Desperate?" Max interjected. "I'm here to expose the truth, and the truth is that your actions speak louder than your words. The people deserve better." In the days that followed, the tide turned irrevocably. Supporters began to abandon Evelyn, disillusioned by the revelations. Her approval ratings plummeted, and the media frenzy only intensified. Max and his team worked tirelessly to keep the momentum going. They organized town halls, engaging with citizens and answering their questions, all while Evelyn's team floundered in the wake of her sinking reputation. On election day, the atmosphere was electric. Max stood outside the polling station, a mix of excitement and apprehension swirling within him. The community had rallied, and it felt like they were on the verge of something monumental. As the results came in, cheers erupted from the gathered crowd. Max's heart raced as the numbers flashed on the screen. Evelyn had lost. Amidst the celebration, Max felt a sense of relief wash over him. They had done it. The people had stood up for their rights, and for once, the voices of the citizens had triumphed over manipulation and deceit. Max stood at the center of the jubilant crowd, laughter and cheers ringing in his ears. "We did this together," he shouted, raising his arms as if he could embrace the whole community. "This is proof that when we unite, we can change the narrative." As the sun set on a hopeful horizon, Max looked around at the faces filled with joy and determination. They had fought against the odds and won. But as he considered the road ahead, he knew that their journey was just beginning. Together, they had awakened a movement, and there would always be more battles to fight. With his heart swelling with pride, he took a deep breath and smiled. "Let's keep the momentum going," he said, knowing that as long as they stood together, the truth would always have a voice. In that moment, amidst the celebration and camaraderie, Max felt a sense of purpose that he had never known before. They were no longer just a group of misfits with a shared goal, they were a community. And as they laughed and planned their next steps, he realized that the fight for truth and justice was a cause worth every bit of effort. The story wasn't over, it had only just begun.